Hello, hello, good morning, good people. Zombie, do you have yeah, your co-host now. Okay, cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, sweet. Are you going to be doing the staking discussion, Mohit?
I think I can join after some time. Once you guys start, I think I can pitch in after a few moments.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just trying to get the stream set up and everything going properly first.
Okay. Let's see here. I think after last time, everybody thinks now that we're rock pulling people.
I think this time it won't happen.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened last time.
It was all going well, and so many members were there, and all of a sudden it went just.
Yeah, I know. It just kicked us out. Basically, it was like, nope.
All right. I just sent I just retweeted. Nick's here. I just let him up.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, good morning. I just invited you right now as co-host, so now you should be able to accept my invitation as co-host.
Okay, well, everything is good on my end. We can give it a few more minutes for people to start coming in. And then if we want to do a short recap of last week and then go from there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good.
That way we can make that transition because we got rugged last week, so
Yeah, we got wrecked.
no connection issues this morning, huh?
No, thankfully not.
Yep, me neither. I tried something a little different this morning. I joined on my phone first and then on the desktop afterwards, hoping that it would make sure that this device has priority for me
Hmm.
and hope because I've never been rugged on the desktop, only on the phone.
Wait, but you cannot make a space on the desktop. It doesn't allow me to, at least.
Yeah, but you can't talk, but you can join. So you probably can't make
Ah,
them, but that's how I record the calls is on desktop.
oh, I get you now. I get you. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah, the chat box is on time right now, which last week we were 30 seconds behind the whole time. So I'm imagining if you have any problems, they start to compound the longer the space goes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting off smooth. Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. I agree with you. You know, this space is making me sleep early, which is a good thing too. I usually end up sleeping and end up working until like 3, 4 a.m. No, no. I yesterday I went to sleep like near midnight, so that was all right. That was good. I feel great this morning. I should probably just sleep at midnight, but the problem is that I have so much work that if I don't do it, then it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy.
I know how that is, man.
Yeah, I wish we had more hours in a day, bro. I feel like 24 is just not enough.
48 hours is enough in a day.
Yeah, I need 80 hours per day.
We'll
Right.
move to Jupiter.
Yeah.
But we can't live any longer than.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, extend our life. Extend our sleep and everything. Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know why we sleep. I don't want to
to
sleep.
not to not go insane.
I wonder
That's how
why we
you
go
empty the
insane.
RAM.
Yo, I wonder why we go insane if we don't sleep because the human brain is so interesting. I have no idea. Imagine now, like, as blockchain progresses, like, how we're gonna interact with the blockchain. Like, we're gonna need chips and stuff in the future. It's gonna be crazy.
Self-staking.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, imagine you wake up one morning and it's like, okay, I gotta stake my coin, and like, you just think about it and it's now staked. That'd be great.
Staking in VR would be fun.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Have like special kind of like ATM machines that you walk up to in VR and you press what you want to do and you choose what you want to stake and you press a button and off you go.
yeah. I like that. Oh, you guys know now that we have the Chase Bank in the Centraland, right?
Yeah, I think JP Morgan has now bought a spot in the metaverse, haven't they, as well in Decentraland?
Yeah, yeah, bro. They're such clowns. Like, I don't mean to ditch them out, but they're like, no, blockchain doesn't work. Nobody buys Bitcoin, and then the muffos now are like owning a space in DCL. Like,
It won't be long before they offer staking as well.
yeah, no, dude. Can you imagine? No, watch it out. Watch out. Maybe they already are staking. They're freaking using Dino, Dino tokens.
Look, they just said that they didn't like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this stuff because they were trying to make sure that you didn't buy it before they did. They
Exactly
were
what I was thinking too.
they were trying to scoop it all up first.
Yeah, exactly what
Yeah,
I was
and
thinking
now you
too.
have Russia as well. A couple of weeks ago, we're talking about banning it, and now this week they're going to release all the legislation.
Yeah, it's funny when Russia said that they were banning. I was thinking, Putin, what are you doing, bro? Because like they can, like let's say the United States wants to impose like stuff on Russia where they got like financial burdens now. Russia can now just buy Bitcoin. Like they won't be affected. Like if they do this, like whatever they do, sanctions, economical sanctions, it won't hurt you because you have everything now on Bitcoin. Like it doesn't matter whatever you do, it won't work. So I was like, when I heard those news, I was like, this mofo understood it now. It's like, when he unbanned it, I was thinking, he now gets it. He gets it that he can get away with a lot of stuff if he has Bitcoin. And this is the reason why I think Iran is doing the same thing. So,
Yeah, and China will do it as well soon, and then Russia and China can pay each other in Bitcoin.
exactly. And dude, China is so dumb. China is so dumb for trying to ban it. Seriously. That's another dumb thing. It's because they want to control everything, but I don't get it because you can see everything on the net. So I'm not sure why they're like, if anything, it's better to control. In my honest opinion, it's just easier.
But it's probably the same thing. China probably wants to buy up loads of Bitcoin as well before they release all the, saying it's legal and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
All right. Hey, is Zounzi here? Looks like Zounzi is here too.
Oh, I think Sonsi went to sleep.
Oh no, that's Addison.
Yeah.
welcome. It's another gotcha gang.
You guys have your gotchas on your profile. I already know when you're gotcha gang because I see the
We come through.
yes, gotcha strong.
All right, well, should we get started? Who wants to kick us off with the last week catch up?
Yeah, I can go with that. So last week we touched on the staking or against the delegating against the Matic validators on the network on the Ethereum layer. So we went all over that, how you have to get your MetaMask wallet connected, go to wallet.polygon.technology and look through the validator list, do your own research on the validators. We touched on that and how to delegate there. We touched on, obviously, you need to pay your fees in Ethereum, depending on how much you're gonna stake. Is it worth it because of the gas fees? We also touched on staking on centralized exchanges such as Binance, which might be easier for new users, much easier to have your Matic tokens in your Binance and then choose one of the earning programs that Binance have, crypto.com and other centralized exchanges. And I think that's pretty much as far as we got with touching on the first subject.
Yeah, I think that was about it. So what is the next level of staking 101?
Well, that is the next question. There are so many. Well, actually, what we could touch on is how lots of the individual projects on Polygon that have been launched, whether it be a play to earn game or a DeFi project of some sort, a lot of them have their own staking options for their own token within their platform. Not sure if we can give out any specific names because obviously everybody has to do their own research. But in essence, lots of them have ways to stake their own token to earn yields back again. So if you're a fan of a particular project that you like, you've done your own research into it, it's something you're aligned with, it's something you enjoy, then most of them have their own individual staking platforms as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can get into some of those. We're not endorsing any products, so to speak, but we can name some examples just so people get an idea. I mean, I know Aavegotchi, you can stake Ghost. That's an easy one. That's more of a play to earn thing, but there is a lot of DeFi elements to it, and you can stake your Ghost. You can stake Ghost Matic, Ghost USDC, Ghost WETH. Yeah, so there's all kinds of liquidity pairs. What other examples are that?
Have you actually done the Aavegotchi one yourself?
Yes, I do stake.
Now, what's really interesting about that is I've always seen the project myself, but I've never got really into it. So again, kind of in a way, I'm a bit of a new user to that. Is it fairly easy for someone new to that project to kind of get to grips with it?
It is definitely easy. It's easiest if you're just staking Ghost because you can just approve that contract and stake the Ghost directly from the Aavegotchi staking website. It is a little more difficult for liquidity pairs, obviously, because you have to have both tokens, and then you go to QuickSwap and you get the LP token by providing Ghost with the other pair, which would be USDC, Matic, Wrapped Ether, or Quick. Actually, you can do Quick as well. And then you would take that LP token and bring that back to the Aavegotchi staking website and stake that. So just a couple extra steps there.
And actually, that leads on to another cool subject is the LP staking, and I think a lot of people a lot of users don't understand the impermanent loss side of it, which can be quite challenging for new people, for new users to the platforms. And the way that
Yeah,
I
I
sort of
think.
go on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Now,
I was just going to say that is a little more involved just because, like I said before, you do have to acquire your tokens. And then I guess, if you don't want to end up with too much unused token, you kind of have to do your math to figure out, well, how much do I need to do this? Like if you're not purchasing it for any other reason other than to liquidity provide, then you got to kind of try to balance it out and be like, all right, well, how much Matic do I need to match this amount of Ghost, and kind of do the math on that. So there's a little bit of that kind of, more, I guess, mathematically inclined things. But obviously, you should be doing math if you're in this space. You definitely need to at least be doing napkin math.
yeah, you do. And so you have two types, well, a couple of different types of staking. You have the one where you just stake a single token and earn rewards for that, which is generally known as a sort of more safer way to do things. And then with the LP staking, you need to have, well, minimum 2 tokens, don't you? You have to use sometimes 50, sort of half and half or something like that. And then you earn rewards based on that. However, you do have the impermanent loss, which you have to be very careful about and understand exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, that's definitely something that newer people don't really understand. And in some cases, depending on the reason that you're providing liquidity, it might be worth it because, for instance, if you are fresh into any of the new curve pools, the APYs on that are typically very high and sometimes dual token. So you could be getting wrapped Matic and the CRV token for providing liquidity. So then you're a little more willing to take that impermanent loss because of what you're getting in exchange. But typically, you would typically you're still going to lose on the fee side. You're still not going to get back as much in fees as you would in a really big swing between token prices. So it is
Yeah.
something to be aware of.
And that's the big issue, really, isn't it? Is a token prices swinging so so much volatility in the market and also with a particular project that all of a sudden becomes great. Everybody's interested in it. Up it goes, the value in the token, and then it can go the other way too. It could lose its momentum, and that token could go down in price as well. So it is complicated to get your head around LP staking. I mean, for new users, the easiest way is to just do your single staking of a token for a project. There's quite a few of them. Lots of gaming projects out there where you can. I think Sandbox, Sand recently released staking for their token, didn't they?
Oh, really? I hadn't heard about that. That's cool.
Yeah, let me actually. I'm going to bring up the tweet because I saw the tweet the other day about it. Let me just go and have a look, and I'll read out exactly what it says. Just find it. Yeah, so on the 11th of February, they said, we're introducing a new staking mechanism that works only with sand, open to all on Polygon, gasless through by economy, 500,000 in sand rewards per week.
Wow. That is pretty cool. I'm not as familiar with the function of sand. Like, I'm guessing you use it to buy the land as well. Like, can you use it to create in the space?
Yeah, I believe so. It's a governance token as well, and a utility token for the actual sandbox project. So it seems, I'm just reading the Medium article, flicking through it. I'll just read the introduction to it here. The sandbox is introducing a new staking mechanism with sand and sand only. With this new staking option, there's no need to pair your sand with anything else to stake it. So in quotes, that's like a traditional LP, you'd need 2 tokens, but Sand are saying that you just need to do it with Sand with a single token. You don't even need to bother with gas fees because they use the Bioeconomy platform to do gasless transactions. So, you know, something like this, obviously, Sandbox is pretty huge, but we're by no means endorsing it, but we're just reading out some of the latest news that's happening on these staking platforms on Polygon. But for example, that's an example of them making it a bit easier with only having to use 1 token to stake, which for a new user is definitely a lot easier to understand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the single-sided staking just because, especially like with Matic, for instance, I like to have enough Matic that I'm earning back my fees for the week. You know, I like to have my APY covering my fees that I'm able to do within the week. So that way I'm actually I have no fee transactions because the amount of Matic that I'm holding always increases my base just above what I'm spending on fees.
Yeah, exactly. And so where, for example, are you staking your Matic? Are you delegating it against on the layer 1, or are you doing it on one of the centralized exchanges?
I'm on the centralized exchanges, and I'm also I have some in Aave, which that's not staking, that's more yield farming, but I have some in Aave on Polygon. And yeah, and then also I'm in Curve, so I get back wrapped Matic rewards there as well. But yeah, I'm on Celsius mostly. That's where I have most of my Matic because they have good interest rates there.
And they support the Polygon network directly now, if I'm right, reading that recently.
I think they did. I have not used it yet, but that is really good news because I have some Matic there, and if I needed to get it over, that would be a great way to do it.
Yeah, and I wonder if you can actually, you know, put that in an earning program with Celsius if it's the Polygon network Matic and not like the layer 1 Matic.
I need to look into that and find out.
I'm
It's
just trying
hard
to
to
look
keep
on
up. These things
their Twitter.
change so quickly.
Yeah, they do. It's absolutely insane how you take a few days off and that's it. You're already like a year behind.
Yeah, and it's also that people like you get in your workflow. So I've been using crypto.com basically for the last few months. That's been my main route to get into Polygon. So once you get something comfortable and cheap, you kind of don't look anymore. But,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, so
that's true.
I'm in Celsius, so I have the need that if I was ever like, oh, I need to move these tokens, like then I would try to be figuring that out. Like, how do I get it from Celsius directly onto Polygon? And I just haven't had the need to figure it out yet, but that's good to know for sure. You know, we were talking about last week. It'll be great once Coinbase does that.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but aren't they releasing the marketplace, the NFT marketplace on the 24th of February, or am I did I have a dream about that? Because we've seen that I always dream about crypto nowadays because I talk about it all the time.
I did hear that, but I did hear that, but I think it might not be like the full release. It might just be like a testing release type thing, like a small group of people are being let in. Um, I could be mistaken about that, but that's what I thought it was, is that there's a select few being let in just to make sure it doesn't, you know, break on day one.
Like it went down in the Super Bowl because they had how many how many hits did they have on the advert? Ridiculous amount.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, they had the QR code on the screen, and I think they had a million hits or something. I don't know, 1 or 2 million hits, and then you had the we're under maintenance page.
That is great advertising. The QR code straight to the maintenance page.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Exactly.
it's a big win for them, I guess, because it's a no. They got the huge PR, right? I think it's a win situation for them.
I'm just trying to dig up the Celsius thing to see where I read that about yeah, they definitely support deposits and withdrawals of Polygon on the Polygon network. So yeah, but I'm not a user of it, so I don't know if you can actually. You must be able to stake it. That's just the intro. That's just to put tokens on and take them off Celsius. So once they're there, you must be able to stake them. Doesn't matter what network they're on, I would think.
Yeah, that's interesting, like to think about it that way, because as of right now, I have not like taken anything from Polygon to a central exchange. So whenever I'm buying coins, I'm always assuming that they're layer one coins, and then when I move them out, I'm moving them to Polygon or wherever. But this is actually kind of interesting that if you think about it, like if you're buying from a centralized exchange, you're just buying a representative. You don't actually own any tokens yet. You just own like a thing that says you own tokens. So it could be that they have tokens on layer one and Polygon and wherever else, and they just move the tokens that they have when people request them, because you're not actually custodian of those coins until you move them out of the exchange.
Yeah, exactly. So what they do internally with them, they might not necessarily have to, actually have that specific amount on a given network. They just give you an APY and that's it. And until you actually want to withdraw them, then they need to have obviously the tokens available on each network for that, don't they?
Right, exactly. So I'm sure they do have like a certain amount on reserve to make sure that they can handle most transactions. But that's also, I mean, this is something that people do kind of misunderstand in the space between, I guess, what you'd call paper gains and actual liquidity. And it's like just because there's a market cap of whatever, $500,000, it doesn't mean there's actually $500,000 to go pull out at any given time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that, it's always difficult because that's the argument between using a central exchange and using your own wallet, which you control, and doing a decentralized sort of staking on the decentralized platforms. But yeah, it's a while yet before it's going to be very easy for users. I mean, I think a lot of end users just want to click one button and that's it. They don't want to have to go through a whole painful setup process and do that. They just want to say, oh, I've bought these tokens. Oh, look, click, I can do that. I can earn some interest on it, and away I go.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I had a friend over the other day who was like, oh, yeah, I have some Ethereum on Robinhood. I was like, you don't have any Ethereum. I'm like, you have a $50 representative of Ethereum on Robinhood that you can only sell back to money. Like, you can't do anything with that Ethereum, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's always difficult. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they bought their first lot of Matic a few months ago, and I said, so what are you doing with it? Oh, I don't know. I just, all I did was buy it, and I said, well, why don't you use one of the staking programs on the exchange to invest it and earn some interest from it. Oh, that's too difficult. I don't know how to do that. And even I offered to help to show them. They just said, oh yeah, my brain can't handle that. So I think like even if when you look, I was looking through the Binance website earlier today, there's still a lot of clicks to get there anyway. I mean, I don't know how you'd find it if you're not really putting the effort in to look for it, because it's so much going on the Binance website that it's still not easy. It's still not easy on their website.
Yeah, that's actually that's very true, and I guess it's kind of a slippery slope for the exchanges where they want to make things accessible and people would be able to do things, but you don't want to make it so easy that someone can turn around and say, "Well, I didn't know what I was doing." And then, then they make, so I think there's a lot of people trying to protect users from themselves because, I guess we're at that self-regulation stage where if we let people wreck themselves too hard, the governments are going to step in and be like, all right, no, we got to do something about this.
GD is a good friend of mine, who also is very knowledgeable on staking as well. He's driving at the minute, so his connection might be a little bit funny. But I had a quick chat with him earlier. I thought it'd be worthwhile having him jump on here because he's been in crypto a long time, and he's very technical. He knows his stuff, but he also really knows the end user journey as well, and he'll have some good input on staking. Can you hear us,
Yeah,
GD?
welcome, GD. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me? It's all good.
We can hear you.
Okay. So I'm terribly sorry for the connection. Like I'm driving, as I explained, Nick. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to contribute. I was listening to what you guys were saying about centralized exchanges, and while they do have a certain amount of tokens, a token pool, right? They do live from all the influx of tokens that are being sent from the layer twos into the wallets, right, into the addresses. And we can see that when in the beginning people were withdrawing or were depositing tokens from, for example, Polygon to their Binance Matic address, and the tokens were there, right? And once they enabled the layer two compatibility, people got their tokens after a year and a half, right? It's actually funny if you think about this, because the tokens were there. They were there, like just dormant in some state or in some limbo, waiting for the compatibility with the layer two to be on. So it's actually funny if you think about things like this. So exchanges really just want volume and fees. They don't care about nothing else. And if they can suck all the liquidity that exists in layer twos, layer ones, that's their game. That's what they are going to do. They are not going to say, no, we don't want that. No, it's all a business for them. It's all a business. So if they can have a higher allocation, their business is valued way more. So the more tokens they have inside their token pools, the better for them, right? So it's kind of crazy if you think about exchanges, centralized one, as leeches. They are leeches. They take liquidity and volume from ecosystems in order to benefit themselves in terms of fees. So I think it's a really bad practice, and it should be condemned. I actually don't like centralized exchanges, right? I don't. So
But what about for new users though that are coming into the industry and they haven't got a clue what they're doing, and it's all technical and they don't know how to do their own wallets and everything?
I think it comes down to a term that is trending a lot now, that it's called composability. So ecosystems and platforms do need to have their own onboarding solutions. We need to start looking. If you go and see like Polygon Hermes with the rollups, right? The rollups bring a whole benefit to the dApps itself, in the sense that, like, when you integrate rollups, you can have the bridging solution inside the dApp. You can have the fiat gateway inside the dApp, and everything is made by 1-2 clicks, like you were saying. I don't know if you guys ever tried a Zkey rollup dApp, right? You have, for example, you can try a funny one that's going to use Polygon Hermes too. That's the Oasis marketplace. It's an NFT marketplace, still in alpha, right? And I'm not shilling anything, right? There are no tokens to that. I have no stake in it. It's cool. But in terms of technology, if you go and watch it and try it out, not only it is really fast, but you see that everything is integrated. You know, the onboarding, the 2 clicks, the fiat on ramp, it's there. The bridges, everything is there. So I think we are going to enter in a stage this year where it's going to be way easier for the end user to onboard, because you are bridging the tokens to the specific ecosystem, to the specific dApp in itself, right? You are not going through exchanges to do that. So I think it will be interesting to see the 2022. I think it's going to be a good year for users' journey in terms of onboarding certain dApps and certain services, so to say.
Yeah, and we can probably safely say, because the technology is moving so fast and the ZK rollups are coming so quickly with Polygon, you know, all the different variations they have, we can safely say that in 6 to 12 months time, what we're doing now is going to even probably be old fashioned.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Even if you go and look at the GitHub repository for MetaMask, you see that they have a lot of things being worked in the pipeline in order to allow users to onboard easily. Like you can even do token swaps already inside MetaMask. Of course, it is on the Ethereum network. The Ethereum network, you pay those huge amount of fees, but it is available, right, for you to do things there in a one place only. So I think that like dApps are going to become a Swiss Army knife, right, with everything inside. You can take a look at not shilling again. Just another example. They are on Polygon. They have stacking too. So basically, the stacking is they have a mechanism called Kraken that buys the whole supply, burns tokens, and if a percentage of those tokens that are bought back from the market are distributed to those that are stacking, and it's called Everrise. While I do not like the Everrise branding and their direction, I think it's just like, and that's that dude, the David Gockstein or whatever it is, like the dude is behind that, and I don't like his approach of things. I think it's very old fashioned in a way. I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone listening likes the guy or not, but I don't. And of course, he has a lot of followers. I have 90 followers, right? So I'm kind of, yeah, I'm no one next to him in the space. But the Everrise, if you look at Everrise, they have stacking, they have token swap, they have bridges, they have a mechanism to protect smart contracts. They have a multi-sig service for governance, so the community can vote for governance, and then the funds are sent according to what the community voted. So you see, they offer 6 different services inside the dApp, and in terms of blockchain, they integrate the bridge, the token swap, probably the fiat on ramp later down the road. So you can see the example of what I'm saying there too, and they support Polygon. You know, they are very strong in the Polygon side. Very, very strong. A lot of liquidity staked there. And the API.
Yeah, and that's really.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Go on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's very interesting, because that's multiple sort of platforms are going to be taking this ZK rollup. Well, I don't think Everrise are using. Are they using the ZK rollup? Yeah, they're not yet.
Not
No,
yet. Not yet.
but not yet. But once that comes into play, I think we're going to see a very fast improvement, like you said, with as a Swiss Army knife of each dApp will be able to do everything within inside itself for the end user.
Definitely. And the thing is that, in a sense, the word in 2021, the trendy word in blockchain was interoperable, right? Like one platform can interact with another blockchain, right? You build on Ethereum, and you can uh, you can operate with Phantom, right? You can operate with Avalanche. You can operate with Polygon. Now it's composability. So composability is what this space needs. In terms of web, for example, web design, what we can say is composability. It's, for example, the Bootstrap framework, right? It has a defined set of containers, a defined set of graphic styles, and you can see that a lot of websites use it. They are all very similar. So this is for me the way of the blockchain in the future. It's like modular, and the dApps are going to be modular, but at the same time they will need to use the same language. They will need to use the same user interface. You know, everything needs to come to a point where it is familiar to the user, to the users, and we are not there yet. We are definitely not there yet.
And how long do you think that is then until we do get there?
Like you were saying, like a year from now, I think that a lot of projects need to disappear too. And you know me for a long time, and I have always been an advocate that the amount of tokens that exist and the amount of frameworks that exist in the space, they need to be culled. There needs to be a culling, right? So what is bad and doesn't follow the rules should go away, because you can't change rules in blockchain. Rules, the things you defined are the things that are defined. They are a rule. We got to a point where, and I'm sorry, like this is going to be a little bit of a rant, even with staking, for example. You know, when you get to the point where you have a single person that controls the private key to the smart contracts, that is not decentralization, right? We can agree in this. We agree with it, right?
Yeah.
So if that guy that has the private key, he can basically change the rules of stacking, right? He can say, no, now you guys are receiving 50%, but I'm not willing to do this anymore, so I'm going to change it to 5. But it's a manual change. It's not a smart contract change. Somehow down the line, we forgot that code is law. The code is law. And smart contracts are supposed to be smart. They aren't supposed to be controlled by a crypto overlord that has all the power of a private key. That's not how it works. Smart contracts weren't made for that. You shouldn't have an if and a else in a smart contract. No, the smart contract works 0 and 1s. You do this, this happens, right? So you have a guy that controls the smart contract and the private keys, changing everything according to his will and his mood, right? So if you are thinking about staking your tokens, also see this. See if there is a delegation, relegation of the smart contract, right? If the guy transferred ownership or relinquished ownership, you know, because this is important. This is very important.
Yeah, and I think all of that is extremely valid and extremely important. And again, it just proves that, you know, for a new user coming to this space, they won't have a clue about anything like that. So they just take face value. A website looks nice, the design looks good, so they also will find it difficult to understand on the higher level of what they need to look out for. And when we say do your own research, it's also quite difficult to do your own research to that high level that you know and lots of other people know. But like you said, the very interesting fact is that we are moving very fast forward to having much easier ways of doing things, all within one dApp, and with a brand such as Polygon, you know, with the big brands that are around that you can trust, that you will be able to trust going forward. And the ZK rollups make that even more possible going forward.
Yeah, it does, and and it's such a powerful technology, you know. Like I've been I've been looking at all the possibilities in a sense of like I've been testing the technology in itself, and it gets to a point where it can even render 3D models on chain. You know, it's so strong. It's incredible. So in a way, even if you are we talk about metaverses, right? The trend is metaverses, and metaverses with passive yield, and you stake your tokens in this metaverse ecosystem, or you buy land and you get passive yield. Guys, let me tell you something. The metaverse in itself is not possible with the current technology, right? We are talking about a system that is again closed and programmed in WebGL or Unity or Unreal or whatever you want to call it, but it's a game, right? It's the same thing as you were playing Grand Theft Auto on your browser, you know. So ZK rollups enables, for example, push and total random simulations of gravity effects, push and pull, right? You can have like models of planets circling around each other randomly, like total physics manipulation. It's a different technology, it's a different beast, and I think it's like it's going to open a lot of possibilities for what is coming. And Polygon is in the front, is in the forefront of it. You know, the Hermes is really strong. People have no idea, like users have no idea of what it can enable.
Yeah, and that's an interesting fact because I think Hermes, with their ZK rollup, they're going to be concentrating on the payment side of things, right? If I'm not, I know we're going off slightly from staking, but it all kind of comes together at the end of the
Yeah, it
day.
comes. Yeah.
I have kind of a question for you there, GD. So you were saying that ZK rollups will enable the metaverse to be more decentralized. Um, can you explain, like, so from my understanding, it would also take a large push from decentralized cloud storage protocols.
Yeah.
Can you explain whether these two things would be related, or how that would operate?
Like you're talking about the data availability, right?
Correct. Instead of everything being on like Amazon Web Services or Google or whatever, like decentralized storage solutions.
Like IPFS, interplanetary file system.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's essential in a way. Like it's really essential for everything to be decentralized, And you even see nowadays those things with the NFT projects that they upload the images to IPFS because of how scalable it is. And I think they go hand in hand. ZK rollups needs a decentralized file system in order for everything to be enabled, or for things to be available, right? For data to be available. So
I guess it would go the other way as well, because the decentralized storage solutions would need ZK to keep the fees down. And
like you don't you can upload files to IPFS without having to pay anything, right? You can you can ping the
right.
files there, you can upload them, and it's cool. What it needs, it's more nodes. It needs more people running nodes at home, and the rewards needs to be good, right? There needs to be good rewards for that. Like it's kind of like staking, but what you are providing is not money in which you are voting. It's more because in staking you vote with your money, right? You are voting with your money. It's a vote. It's a vote of trust. You put your money in something you trust, right? It ends up being the same thing with the decentralized file systems. You upload your files to places you trust. Data availability, it's basically a way to do things to take the weight out of the rollups, the weight out of Ethereum, the weight out of Polygon, of all that data. Of it's kind of like a off chain. Let's say it like this.
Yeah, because data, you just want to keep the transaction details really. You need to keep the blockchains and the roll-ups and all that as thin of data as possible. So all that storage of data needs to be somewhere else, but it also needs to be decentralized and connect together.
Absolutely, and that's the way, right? That's in a way where we are heading. Like it's very funny, and I think I told this Nick a long time ago. I was in I was a community guy for BitTorrent in the past, and I love the BitTorrent tech, right? Peer to peer, decentralized, the dream. That it was all a dream. But when Tron took the hold of it, and the rewards distribution was highly centralized, like the dream was crushed, right? Everything was crushed, and it gets to a point where peer-to-peer technology works in such a way where we probably don't even need an internet service provider. Like we could all be nodes, walking nodes around the world in our smartphones, and we could connect to each other in a peer-to-peer, because uh, you have the EPFS or BTFS. They are also hypermedia relay protocols, right? You can have web pages running in them, So you actually, and cell phones, they have the Wi-Fi direct, they have peer-to-peer technology. I could provide a node to a guy next to me that's connected to a smart fridge or to a smart device, and that smart device being a node too. A restaurant in my street, on the street that I live or you guys live, could be connected to your node, and you have direct access to their service, right? The whole internet service providers thing, like the whole peer-to-peer technology, and what we are seeing unfolding is a threat to all the models that we know that are centralized, right? So it's yeah, we have a long.
And but what's interesting as well is we still talking about the staking side of things is moving forward in the future, like you were saying, you could have your own node running on your own mobile phone, and you could be paid for just running that node yourself.
Absolutely, you get rewarded for it. And the thing now is that, for example, if you want to run a node, I think it's the Pocket World on they are going to launch in Polkadot. You can, for example, you need 50,000 tokens, right? And you put that token in the pool and you create your own node. This is stacking. This is stacking, right? This is another form of stacking, and you get rewards for that. So you have people making like 2K, 3K per week with 15,000 tokens invested initially, like to open, they stake, they open the node, and then they get their return. It's a good system too.
Yeah, and that's also a very good point. Is that another, as we've been discussing, another form of staking is running your own node for a project. I'm sure there's some on Polygon that you can run your own node to help with the ecosystem, and you get rewarded as well for running that node. So you also earn, in a way, you stake some of your funds towards the node, and you run your own node, and you get repaid for doing that as a service to the network.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like the validators in Polygon, right? And the delegators and the validators. Again, you vote with your money. Like, I think it's really important to spread this message, because what you are doing, your money represents the trust that you have in this space. Money is equivalent to trust, right? So you vote in those that you trust, and by voting, you stake, you know? Because at the same time, imagine you see a DEP or Quick Swap or the other exchange, the DFYN, right? They have pools, and you stake your tokens there, and you increase their TVL, right? You increase their total value locked. You are voting on them. You are giving them your trust because you know that your money there is safe. Like, so in a sense, guys, if you are going to stake, also look for audited smart contracts. Look for safe places, even if the API is lower. I prefer to stake if the API is lower, but the smart contract is audited. I really do.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Zombie, I think you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna double that and say, yeah, that's absolutely true, because what does a high APY matter if you get exploited? You rather get that low APY and know your money's gonna be there tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and also there's nothing wrong with the low APY because to me it's more realistic. All these huge APYs you see are they can't be sustainable anyway. So it's the lower ones that are from a well audited smart contract are much safer bet in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Like, always search for smart contracts that are audited, or they are forks. They are copies of other smart contracts that were audited but used in another ecosystem. This happens too, right? So in a way, I think it's like on Etherscan, you can search for find similar, and I think that in Polygon too. Polygon Scan also enables that feature that you can search for similar smart contracts. So even if the stacking you are watching, and this is why Nick was saying that do your own research is so important, because you can find similar contracts to the ones where you are depositing your trust, right? And in this sense, you can see if where it comes from was audited or not. So in a way, you kind of end up having a double certification. Yes, okay, these guys are using this smart contract. Let me see if there's something similar to this. Aha, so this comes from this platform. Are they certified? Aha, they are. Cool. So I can trust this for now.
And is there an easy way for users to find out quickly if a project is using a good audited smart contract? I mean, do they have to go to Polygon Scan or Etherscan? Is that the only way?
Yeah, I think it is. It's really unless the platform makes it clear, right? They usually put the audited by Certic, for example, right? They put the logos. But I think the only way is really just using Polygon Scan or Etherscan. I don't.
And I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point because a staking platform that has spent the money on having their smart contracts professionally audited will want to make the user know that. So they will put it on their website and they will make a big deal out of it. So that's another point is, if you've come across a platform that doesn't really, talk much about their contracts being audited, that's maybe when you need to have a think as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it's basically, it comes down to 2 points. It's for me, it's either they are audited or they are there's no crypto overlord with a private key in his pocket, right? So or there is a relegation of the ownership, or it is audited.
Sounds like we need a new project on Polygon to easily check, for users the status of smart contracts.
Yeah, I agree.
That's another thing. We got we're in the wild west still.
Yeah, we are, but regulation is coming, and regulation is not going to be. I think we need regulation. We really do need regulation.
Oh, we need it. We need it badly. I mean, a lot of people think it's going to be too restrictive, but it might be in the beginning, but we know that blockchain's here to stay. We know that all of this stuff is here. The play to earn, metaverses, all that stuff is too powerful to go. So we just need a good global regulation. Really, some countries are going to be far more strict than others, and we just don't want it to affect the technology growth. But once the regulation comes in, it's going to be a bumpy ride. But once it gets there, then I think it's going to be a lot safer place for people to come into.
Definitely, and it's like regulation will onboard mainstream, right? So even the APIs in staking, if they come from transaction fees, for example, or swap fees, they're going to be crazy in the beginning, So what is today 30%, maybe in 1 year and a half from now, it's going to be like 200%, but legit 200%. They are going to be legit because you are going to have so many transactions and swaps per day that things might change a lot. That's kind of like my hope in a way, is that regulation allows blockchain to grow.
Yeah, and right now the likes of Polygon are building the infrastructure, especially with the multiple different zk rollup solutions they're committed to. They're building the ability to be able to handle huge amounts of traffic, in a few years' time.
Definitely, they need to aim for the 1 million transactions per second, right? 1 million. That's what we need in order to be able to onboard like mainstream 1 million transactions per second. We'll get there. We are.
That's a big figure, and that is something at that point it is going to be extremely powerful.
It is like we are in 100,000 transactions per second, and we are happy. Like, right? We are like, oh yeah, brutal technology, disruptive, 100,000 transactions. It can handle 1,000 transactions per second. Wow, this is brutal. No, we need 1 million, guys. That's it.
And then we probably might potentially still need more scaling after that.
Yes.
Maybe layer 3s.
Yes.
But yeah, but so that's really cool. I mean, we're right in the middle of such a changing time in technology and improvements on all of the none of the networks are there yet. You know, that's the whole point, is why things are kind of changing, and why staking is a bit tricky and not clear on all fronts, is because things change every day, and we're still on that the development side of blockchain, and we will be for a while, but it's going to get easier. So if you're a new user coming into this whole industry, you should not be put off by how things seem to be so complicated. You should just take your time and try to start on one thing first and learn it, and then go forward and get on the train with the technology, because it's getting easier. It's much easier than it was a year ago.
Definitely, and it's kind of like how I envision things in a way that you connect when you want to see like Netflix, right? You connect Netflix, and you just need 2 clicks to see your show. So stacking in the future and all these services of financial freedom and independence and whatever we want to call it, I think it will be as easy as this, right? You can turn your television on or your computer on. You have an app, and you click like stake, like stake, and it's done.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a bit. I mean, if we want to talk about it in computer terms, it was a bit like the olden days when we only had MS-DOS and everything was command line, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden we had Windows 3.0, which was this graphical user interface, which changed everything. It changed everything,
uh,
for end users.
Absolutely.
So it's we do need better UIs. We do need better wallets. We do need
Mm.
much better security. For especially if users are in charge of their own private keys. We need things like you could associate some friends and allocate some friends that if I lose access, I can contact these specific people to re-enable me. Or I don't know. I think Vitalik was talking about something like that
Mm.
not too long ago. But we need all these easier ways to protect users from losing their private keys, because that's a big scary thought at the minute, for a lot of people.
Yeah, like you know this. I write my private keys by hand, right? I have them in I used to encrypt them using PGP. Um, what is used a lot in the Tor network, the Onion network, when you want to do something funky in the deep web, you encrypt your messages using, well, the same way Satoshi and Halfini were trading messages between them, right? So you encrypt things, and I used to have my private keys encrypted inside an old laptop, but then I was just, why bother with this? Just the process to do this. Oh my god! And then I started writing them. I don't like hardware wallets. I'm not a fan. I see them being hacked every single year in hackathons, and there's a guy that hacks them, right? If you don't have the firmware up to date, you see, it's just like the process of everything. Every updating the firmware on Ledger Live, save your private keys. It's just exhausting, right? Just exhausting. It gets to a point where it's just too much.
Yeah, exactly, and that whole side of it needs to become a lot easier, because a lot of my friends who are not into technology, they've heard of crypto, they've heard of Bitcoin, they've heard of all of them, lots of them. They're very interested in it, but the minute I start telling them they have to keep their private keys secure, they have to write them down, it just scares them off. So it's difficult. It's difficult to get a lot of new users. I mean, we are getting a lot of adoption coming, a lot of institutional adoption too. But the end users, like we haven't had a DApp yet, which has gone viral like Instagram did when it first came out, centralized app. But when Instagram came out, it just went mad and it took over the world. We haven't had a DApp like that yet with blockchain technology, but that will come.
Yeah, it will come. It will come, and it will do wonders to the overall value of the space. Like if you look, and I usually, I'm a metrics guy, right? And I usually look at the crypto market cap as a whole, and I think like, damn, we don't leave the 2 trillions. We are stuck here for a year. So this means that there is no new money entering inside the space, or if it enters, it is residual, right? We don't have a huge onboarding. And I don't know, was speaking about Robinhood earlier. Those apps, they are like an absolute cancer to the space, right? They send the wrong message. They are easy to use without a doubt, like the Revolut crypto thing or the PayPal, but they are cancer to the space because they don't bring value to it. They don't. They don't. They give users a lie. It's like you buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like you.
that's what I was telling him.
It's like you buy gold options or you buy gold online. Oh, okay. I bought gold online. Can I go to the bank and lift my bar of gold? Right? Can I go to this service and say, "Hey guys, I bought gold online. Where is my gold bar?"
Right. You can't go get it melted into a necklace.
Right? You can't, right? So it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. And stacking in a way also suffers from that in a sense. You go like, yes, yes, we are going to double your money, X2. And then you go see the X2, you deposit like 130,000 tokens of something. And the X2 at the end of the month is 300 new tokens. And you go, okay, so I thought it was X2. You see, because we don't have enough people here, and a lot of users removed liquidity, or there wasn't enough swaps for the X2. So you're lying. So there's no X2. So why do you put it there? Why do you put it there?
And interesting enough, with regulation, how do you think that will change it and make sure your X2 is there?
I think the X2 is going to disappear. It's going to stop being a marketing sales point, right? I think just I would see the percentage being something live, being something like there would be no marketing around it. Of course, you have pools that you visit and you can see an estimate of what you can earn, but that estimate is never real, to be honest, never. That's why low API is way more real than 110% gains at the end of a month or 6 months of stacking, right? And then they penalize you.
Yeah.
They give you a penalty. Imagine you go like that happened to me recently, right? So I invested in I was taking. I'm not going to say the platform because this is bad for them, right? In a sense. So I bought tokens. I staked those tokens. And after I read in the fine print, the small letters say, oh, if you remove liquidity before the 6 months are over, you are only going to get 60% of your tokens. Like there's a penalty. It's like I'm going to the bank. It's like there's a penalty. These guys are giving users penalties if they want to remove their tokens earlier. Penalties. Like, what is this, guys? Like, this is the total corruption of the blockchain and crypto values.
So do you think this whole overall sort of staking idea is just to try and entice people to come into the space or to lock up their tokens? I mean, we know the centralized exchanges like to suck up all the liquidity they can and take all your tokens they can,
Mhm.
have it on their books.
Well, I do think it's a way to lock the circulating supply, because if you have circulating supply locked, it's not going to be available to be sold, right? So you are basically giving whales a benefit. Okay, so this is a whale game in a way. I think staking is good for if you can put up to, if you can invest $1,000, $2,000 and get tokens for that. I think it's good. It's not like brilliant. It's not whoa. It's not like you are a whale. But if you don't need that money and you can get it after a year, it's cool. If you are staking for a month, ah, unless there is another reward, like you stake and you accrue some type of token that enables you to get, for example, NFTs, or your liquidity pool token enables you to participate or enter or have access to another ecosystem or to a platform or to play a game. I think that's relevant because you are giving access to something. If it's just
Yeah.
staking alone, ah, I'm DeFi is cool, but it has limitations nowadays. So unless there is another utility to your LP token, ah, I don't know. I don't know.
I like that idea. That we've talked about this in some of the DAOs I'm in about having staking your membership,
Mm,
like your social tokens, and that way you're holding up the value of the social network or social group that you're in by staking. But there's more, it's also a governance token. It may be what you're using within the ecosystem,
mm.
but you're kind of, you know, it's not just money just to be money. It like represents your membership. You have to have a certain amount of this to even be in the club. And there's a way for you to stake that and get more of it just for participating.
Totally agree. It's like at the end of the day, it all comes down to utility. So if you are staking, you get API and you have an utility to that. There's a utility aggregated to that, because if we look at the whole landscape of crypto in a way, like utility is scarce nowadays, huh? Like everyone promised utility at a point in their white papers, in their ICOs, in their ecosystems, but utility is scarce. It's brutal. And you are not going to have good API without a good utility, without a good tokenomics. You're not.
Yeah, a utility is is a key thing that's miss a lot of projects. They, as you say, they promise utility, but it's neither not there yet. It's either being developed, or it's difficult for to see true utility in some projects.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please go. I talk a lot. Please go.
No, actually, it's funny you say that about utility. That really is, I'm pretty new to the crypto space. I got in last year. And when the May crash happened,
Ooh.
I had all these coins that I had bought on centralized exchanges and hadn't really messed around even on chain yet. And then when the market crashed last May, I was like, oh, or it just had that big dip. I was like, all right, well, I have all these useless coins. What do I do with this now? And then I started learning about utility and like how to use these things. And that's when I really like my mind just was like, because I got into this space for NFTs and to make art. I'm a musician and a filmmaker, so that's what I'm here for.
Okay, cool.
So I was already making NFTs, and that's the only thing I was doing on chain. But then like I just had all these other things that I had invested in, Maddox being one of them. And then it was like, all right, well, now that these things have all dropped in value, well, what do they do? And once you learn how the utility works, you stop caring about price because now you know what this thing does and you believe in that.
Yes, and utility ends up bringing validation to the staking, right? Because if you have utility, you are sure that you are going to have a demand for the tokens, and if there is a demand for the token, you know that there are going to be more swaps and there are going to be more fees to be distributed. So it validates the staking solutions around that exist, right? You go like, no, well, there's a lot of demand for this. So it's a game. For example, you have a game with 10 million players, right? And it uses blockchain technology, and it also has stacking. You know that your yield is going to be good, right? You know that you're going to get yield from that because there are users of that ecosystem.
Yeah, so that's the key point. Is utility is a word that's thrown around too easily, I think, in the crypto space. Projects need really good quality utility, but they also need, as you say, they need users. You need the more users you've got in your ecosystem, the more you can build utility for those users, and then it's like a catch-22. It just all takes off together.
Exactly, it's a chain, right? Like even the name itself says it, blockchain. You need a chain of events and circumstances that lead, in terms of staking, for example, to a healthier API, to a healthy API, an organic one, right? Like it's at the same time it's so crazy, right? It's the same thing as you go to the bank, you deposit money in a bank,
and the bank tells you, yes, but now to withdraw all the money that you deposit here, you need to give us 48 hours so we can send the printed paper from somewhere else so it is available to you because it's not there. Right? It's the same thing with stacking in a way. You need users. So the value that is proportional to the API that you are going to receive is organic, healthy, and is always available to you. Because if you have several users utilizing that ecosystem or that platform, you know that where you staked and the liquidity that you are providing, it's going to have a good return for you. That's why Uniswap, for example, works pretty well, right? Uniswap, in a way, the USDT USDC pair, while the API is low or what you get is low, you know that it's organic because you always have people swapping between both.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point. So the stable coins, USDT, USDC, and various other ones, do have a large user base. I think everybody in crypto uses them. So there is even though, like you said, the low APY, but that's important because there's a lot of users, trading them or swapping them and staking them and doing that. So they have the ability there to give you a good return, or even though the APY might be low, you're going to get a good, honest return from them.
Yeah, because it's constant, right? There's a constant influx. So another thing is like if you go and stake in a platform that has no users, like they can promise you everything. They only promise you 200% because they don't have users there. There's no volume for that thing to happen. So if someone goes and stakes, oh, you can bet that it's going to pump to 200% because no one was using. But it's 200% of what? It's the same thing when you look at the the growth in crypto. Like, let's see, the market dips, right? Red everywhere in a day. Like one day the market dips, everything is red. It's terrible. The next day you see, oh yeah, my coin grew 10%. Your coin grew 10% from the latest dip. You numbskull. It didn't grow 10% from the price you bought, right? So and people don't see this. They don't have notion of this. They don't see things like this.
And then that's also a good point because of how volatile the market is. It's sometimes it might be a good idea to stake your tokens long term and just leave them for a year and earn something over a longer period of time, where it gives the market more time to mature and go up in value.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So
Um,
it's a catch-22, like you were saying. I think everyone needs to be really cautious in a way where they vote with their money, where they deposit their trust, right? Because this is all trust. It's all about trust. Do you trust that? Do you trust that project? Do you trust that API? Do you know who these guys are? Are they doxed? Do they exist or they are anonymous? Right? There are so many variables that people need to think about before committing their trust in form of money to a smart contract.
Yeah, and that forms the whole do your own research, which is actually a very big subject that you should take your time when you're looking at a project and spend time to really go over it, read through it. Don't just read the face value white paper, check in there, everything like that. Go deep into it and take your time. Don't
Yeah,
rush. I think
absolutely.
James wants to pop up.
I
Let
think
me
something too, people have a tendency, especially like once you're in crypto, you have a tendency to not look back and not look out again. And I think that's a bit of a problem because if you're looking at this API and you're like, oh, 200%, I want to do the 200%. I don't want to do this 5, 7, 8%. I don't want to do that. That's not appealing. But go look at your bank with the 0.01%, and you're like, oh, I'll take the 8.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like no bank,
we've got
no bank gives you 70% API. Nothing. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I remember.
We've got.
Sorry, go on.
No, go, GD, go.
I can share with you guys my personal story. My grandfather was a guy that he was a very smart guy, and he invested money, right? So he had his money in a bank, a private bank, and an investment bank. Let's call it this way. And he had his money there for 20 years or something. And when he was a few weeks before he died, I went to him, and he was sick, right? So I went to visit him, and what he told me, he wasn't even worried about anything else. He was just like, and can you believe I left my money in that bank for 20 years? And it
I'm so sorry. I was trying to let somebody on stage and I muted everyone. Can you unmute yourselves? I unmuted.
Okay, it's cool.
Sorry about that.
It's cool. So I was explaining how in terms of like personal life, it got to a point where my grandfather invested money, right? And before he died, he was complaining that his money was stuck 20 years in a fucking bank. I'm sorry for the cursing, in a bank for 20 years, and it gave him nothing. So before he died, he was worried about that. He was like, "No, I left my money there, and nothing happened to the money. I gained nothing out of it. It was the worst investment of my life."
Oh, that's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and this is part of the whole reason why the decentralized side of it and the staking side, users now have the opportunity to actually earn something themselves directly without going through one of these centralized entities. I think we've got James up here who wants to. He's got his hand up for a long time.
Yeah,
I know
I was
James
on
as well.
stage. You should be able to speak.
James, you there?
Hi Nick, everyone? Hi everyone, how
I'm
you
all right,
doing?
mate. How you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, interesting points on the APY and 8%. Yeah, I mean, you getting UK have just put up the Bank of England base rate. I think it's gone up to 0.5 now. So if you leave in your bank, you might get 0.6 now, but you're certainly not going to be getting 8%. I think the interesting piece earlier on liquidity pooling and staking, etc., for liquidity with 200% yields is interesting. And you're right, it's because there is no liquidity there, and because no one's going to pay it back potentially. But one of the points I wanted to raise was on the actual smart contracts that are involved in this, and just do your own research, do your own due diligence. We see a lot more in the NFT world where essentially you'll be putting into a smart contract that has some kind of exposure or some kind of floor that allows people just to withdraw. But the same can be said of other ERC20s, etc. And just make sure the contract owner is legit, and make sure you do that research about where you're putting your money. There's a lot of well-known coins now that and we never want to get to a point where people are only ever going into UDT or Mana or whatever ERC is on whatever chain it is. Ultimately we are about supporting and developing upcoming and new protocols, new chains, new ideas and new businesses ultimately that are built on blockchain technology. But I think the really interesting thing and the thing that we have to do is just make sure you've done your diligence right down to even the smart contract level, or follow somebody that is if you're not versed in that. Not a shout out, not a shill, in no way associated with, but there's an interesting discussions on Burnable Labs. Burnables are the ones that did the breakdown of the Bored Ape smart contract. And again, I know that's an ERC 721 as opposed to an ERC 20, but it does talk through the vulnerabilities that can be in smart contracts. And I think it's just interesting that do your own research on the team, sure, the project, sure, the roadmap, sure, the ERC 20 for sure, but but also do it on the contracts that you're piling money into as well.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about something similar a bit earlier, that like just look at the whole. Like I don't want to throw shade, right? But I'm also glad that I'm no one in this space, just a guy that has an opinion. The whole Time Wonderland fiasco, right? Like that was brutal. A guy controlled the treasury. A guy controlled the private keys. And it can't be like that. You can't have, you need to trust the code and not your crypto overlord, right? And somehow the narrative switched where influencers are the guys that people trust. How is that possible? How are you trusting an anonymous guy that has a monkey as an avatar, or a bat as an avatar, or a frog? How are you trusting that guy to govern billions of dollars that are staked?
Yeah, and I think that's the difficulty for a lot of people, is that you know, they don't have the knowledge or the technical know-how to really. They don't even know that's a thing. You know, they just see the platform, they see the marketing, they see the website looking good, they hear people talking about it in the community. You know, they don't even know it's a thing that they need to really look deep into, finding out if it's one person that controls the whole treasury, or with a private key, or you know, and they don't want to put the time or effort in anyway. It takes too long to work all that out and read up about all that. So, you know, we do have a lot of difficult hurdles for people to really know if a project is genuine down to the T, or if there are some, you know, hidden agendas behind it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't want to get into DAO structures and you know, vote by members, although I do think vote by members and you know, that's the future, right? Or that should be the future, certainly, even with things like quadratic voting, etc. Without getting too much into that. Just an interesting thing I saw the other day, and I don't blame Paddle on DAO for it. You know, I think that there was a decision made by the group there. I don't know if anyone saw the news about the Paddle on DAO, which essentially was set up by a group of people that wanted to support community members under 25 to attend things like ETH Denver, or etc. etc. And they actually staked. I want to say it was XDAI, and because it was staked against their ETH value, essentially what happened was the ETH value, so the collateral that they were staking for the APY, fell below the collateral limit, and meant that it liquidated some of their ETH to cover the shortfall. And essentially it reduced their treasury by about $30,000. So I'm not here to spread FUD, but what I'm saying is, you know, when we're staking these things, make sure we understand, you know, what the staking process is here, because ultimately in that situation, as I said, they didn't understand, or they didn't review or replenish that staking contract quick enough. And actually what that meant was that they had to liquidate some of their ETH at a much lower value than the staking, and it offset that against their stake contract, and it ultimately cost their treasury around $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Go on, GD.
No, it's impressive. It's impressive. In a way, it's like I feel that people should read Binance Academy articles, you know, like they have a very good one about impermanent loss. If you are staking with a solo staking, just a single asset staking, like it's cool. But if you need to stake with a pair, you need to know about impermanent loss too, right? You need to know about things.
Yeah, and that's a tough one to crack for a lot of people. Is the single staking is, you know, pretty straightforward. The multiple staking, multiple asset staking, you know, that opens a whole can of worms for people to understand. So it's a difficult one. It's a difficult subject to cover.
And I think this is not the first time it's happened. Again, I don't, you know, we're talking about staking on Polygon here, but the mechanics ultimately are the same, dependent on chain, right? There was that big thing just before Christmas, and I don't know if you've covered this as well, where essentially someone had to pour more liquidity into a contract, or the entire contract essentially liquidated, and there was, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake here.
Yeah, it's just
that one. Yeah,
no, it's insanity. It's insanity. Like it's a dangerous game. In a way, it's a dangerous game. It's a very dangerous game. Like it's worth it for some things, like you stake, but you are cautious, right? You don't put everything. You put what you don't need. Again, it's the whole crypto cliche, right? You just invest what you don't need, basically, or you invest what you can. You don't put your life savings in a smart contract. Jesus, no way, no way.
No,
And I think that's a. Oh, sorry, Nick. Sorry, bud.
no. Go on, James. Go on, James.
No, no, and I think that it's a really important message that I'm sure everyone within the Polygon community would back as well. I count myself as being one of those people within the Polygon community. Pretty much everything we build here is built on Polygon, right? And that is, educate yourself, be responsible in what you're doing, but enjoy the community and enjoy the opportunity that delivers. But ultimately, make sure exactly that. You're being conscious of what you're doing. You understand the limits of what you're doing, and you understand the limits of your capabilities as well. Now, I'm not going to be going out and dumping multi stakes with, liquidity pooling and offsets, etc., etc., etc. Because if I'm honest, I don't understand it well enough. If I'm going to say, like Nick said, a single stake contract that's going to earn me an APY of 8%, perfect. Like that's something I'm completely comfortable with. So it is just about making sure that you understand your limits, understanding what the technology you're utilizing is. But yeah, there's opportunities out there, and just be, understanding and educate yourself and do it in the right way.
Yeah, and there is a lot of documentation. Like GD was saying, the Binance Academy is actually really good if you take a few days, sit down with a coffee, have a good read, and utilize. Although it's difficult, it's spread out all over the place. There is a lot of good information available, and even from Polygon's documentation, there's great amounts of information available as well. Just spend some time reading. Take your time. Don't rush into anything just because somebody else in the community was, or you saw a tweet from an influencer that was bigging up a project. It might look good for sure, but that's when you need to step back and have a coffee and also understand the technology that you're using to do this type of staking.
Yeah, you definitely have a point there. Like without knowledge, like don't go by what influencer X says or what a bunch of anonymous frogs on Twitter say. Like don't fall for that. Don't go after others, Just read, know your stuff, know what's going on. If you want to try protocols or staking protocols, put a little bit of money. Don't go all in. That's just crazy because the next day the smart contract, like the interface is frozen, or you have a rest in peace written in a blank page. Like, come on.
Yeah, and that's another good point is if you want to get involved in staking, especially on Polygon, because the actual transaction fees are very cheap and it's manageable to stake a small amount. So if you want to mess around with 10, 20, 30, $50 or something, the transaction costs are peanuts. So it's not like doing it on ETH layer 1 where you have huge gas prices. On Polygon, you have the ability to be able to play around with small amounts of money and test things out and see what they're like and enjoy yourself with it as well on the learning curve.
That's a great point. Really great point. I'm going to have to dive out now because I am in the office at work today, but I've loved the space. Sorry to come in and be like, "Wah," and then dive, but
No,
hope you'll have
perfect.
a great space. Speak soon.
Speak soon, James.
Ciao.
Yeah, I mean we've been going for quite a while anyway, so I don't know if anybody else wants to have a put their hand up and ask a question or say anything else.
I don't think so.
No.
I need to go too. It was a pleasure anyway to be here and speak with you guys. So yeah, see you next time. Keep spreading knowledge.
Well, you're always welcome. We're doing it every Wednesday, and we'll have different subjects. So come on, jump in always and help us out.
Okay, cool. I promise that next time, if I'm around, the quality of the microphone will be better. I'm just using the earbuds, so I'm sorry for that. And
That's all good.
and that's it. Well, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this morning, GD. It was great conversation.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Everyone, thanks for joining us and have a wonderful day. We will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. UTC. And look for the tweets to see what we're going to be talking about next week.
We'll get them out earlier this time so everybody can have a chance to get ready for it. Alrighty. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
everyone.
Nick. Have a great